Hi everyone, today I'm walking in Nuo Gu garden. So this is the garden that's close to our Nuo Gu One garden, and I want to show you this garden today because it's a really beautiful garden. Now the festival is done, so we're in the new year, so happy new year everybody. And it's quite a quiet time now in Jingmai because people haven't gone back to work yet, though you can still see there's a bit of activity because the workers who are not die typically they will keep working. So yeah, actually yesterday, even though it was a new year, we still got some leaves to process. At my uncle's house we processed it in the machine. But it's not busy anyway, and so it's quite the end of the rush now, and it's a good time to just walk around and enjoy that nature that has yet to wake up. You can see here that some tea trees are sprouting, so you could harvest this, or alternatively just pick some leaves and chew on them to get a bit of energy and sweetness. So this is Nuo Gu garden, quite a flat road, a flat garden with mild slopes. I think what makes Nuo Gu is those two hills. So we're in a tiny valley here with very mild slopes. And last week we sourced tea from Yutu and Lao Cai, two old friends, same age as ours, and it's this garden over there. I like these two trees here. I often come here in the winter or anytime I'm in Jingmai. Either I come to Aiban or I come here. It's a therapy for me, just like cooking the tea leaves. So here the tea trees are mostly not that big, but they're quite fragrant. It's a small leaf varietal. Watch out for the motorbike here. So it seems we still have some activity in the gardens over there. Yeah, you can see it's quite a small leaf varietal here. And that's what I learned recently. We often say there are two varietals, like the big leaf varietal and the medium leaf varietal, but this is definitely small leaf. Although it's small leaf, but not necessarily the Varsinensis. There are other things that make the difference between Vorasamica and Varsinensis. You can see that this one still grows with a trunk, or like the shrubiness, you could say, is not as extensive as in a Varsinensis. The leaves are also thinner than Varsinensis. Varsinensis has two layers of cells on the surface, which makes it thicker and of a darker color. But the characteristics of small leaves is still here, and that's the fragrance. Typically, the bigger the leaves, the more powerful they are. They will have more bitterness maybe, or more sweetness. Well, bitterness, that can be discussed, but it's mainly a trade-off of sweetness and mouthfeel. This is aroma. Small leaf varietals will have a better fragrance. And this is showing in the batches we've made so far. Look at this tree. Isn't that funny? There are giant spiders in there. I don't want to put my head in there. But here you have quite a nice garden with lots of quirks like this. And it's quite easy to navigate at this time of the year. We're in mid-April, and the spiders, like the typical spiders that we have here, are not thriving yet. You don't see them between the tea trees. But wait until the rain falls, and then you will see tiny spiders, and they will be growing over the months. and they will reach their biggest stage in autumn. But during the whole summer, this area is filled with spider webs. So every time you want to go into the garden, you need to take a little stick, or just be careful. Otherwise your head will be wrapped in that spider web. I'm happy to see this garden is actually harvestable. That's cool. You see, that's like the really good time to harvest a fine grade. See that flush? You can see one bud, 4 leaves, but still all tender, perfect for making pu'er tea, or perfect for chewing like a cow. So I hope in the coming days, if it doesn't rain, we can keep making some tea from here. And I would like to dedicate the end of the harvest to maybe more experimental batches. We've processed mainly ancient tea garden leaves into pu'er tea, but we've made quite a lot of black tea too this season, because we figure that every year our black teas sell out quite quickly. So, and as we get more and more orders, we just need to get more black tea. You see, mid-season we've sent a batch to the city, and I think they are already sold out. So we'll need to make more black tea to hold until the next season in autumn. So what could we see here? I'm totally improvising here because I don't know where I'm going, but let's follow me and see what we find. So it's quite a mild slope here. I like that. With a fairly thick forest cover in most places. Well, yeah, you could say an average forest cover. You can see some patches like here are in the clear, and in other places you have a thicker cover, but you can see that you get leaves all over the ground. So this is the litter that will make organic matter. So the organic matter is generated by the trees, you know. They do photosynthesis, then capture the light, use that energy to make sugars with the CO2 in the atmosphere, and at some point the leaves fall on the ground, and this sugar just decays into organic matter. The leaves decay, and that's how the soil is dark. This gives a lots of benefits to the tea gardens. So that's one of the uses of having that those shade trees. You can see here the soil is very sandy. You know, if it was for example, if it was clay, it would be super hard, and you would have like if you see like those dry rice paddies, they are typically pure clay, and here is almost pure sand. That's why we need the organic matter to increase the soil fertility. It will bind with the remaining with the few clay that you have, and make a kind of sponge for water and nutrients. So we like to see this sand a bit dark like it is here. And the fact that it's a mild slope somehow helps retain the organic matter. Actually, you can see that there are no trees here, but there are leaves on the ground, so they come maybe because of the wind when the leaves fall, maybe because of heavy rains and it's washed down. All these factors are taken into account by nature, you know, to decide these, but not really by the farmers. So that's one other thought I had, because I've had quite a few visitors during this harvest, and they ask a lot of complex questions, and we think about it, and we can always find some theoretical ways or talk about the organic matter the richness of the ecosystem, the relations between natural predators and their food, and like the pest. But this is ecology and not really farming. Farming can take a more pragmatic approach sometimes, so it's good to both study the theory and have an empirical study, like be based on your do experiments. And many questions you can answer them better through experiments than by using the theory. But sometimes when you know the theory and have the experience, you can think about how to make new kinds of tea, or how you should make decisions in your garden to manage it better, you know. Okay, let's go down back on the main road. But you see, we're almost on the top of the slope here. So this is a very mild hill with mild slope. Sure, we could expect, like theoretically, you should have a higher fertility down the slope, because the clay, the nutrients are washed away when it rains, and they tend to accumulate down slope. But you have to check that in practice. It's not always true. Sometimes there are parameters that you don't consider. So, you know, sometimes problems can seem incredibly hard because there are too many factors. But sometimes they can also be incredibly easy to solve in practice. You know, just like when you're cooking a meal, you're not really thinking about the temperature of the pan and the cell degradation state of your food. You're just listening to the food cooking and looking at the food, you know, in the pan, and just doing some moves. And that's what makes you a good cook, not really understanding the theory behind it. But of course, it's always a plus to understand both. And if you understand only the theory, maybe you can work in the food industry and just do processed food on a massive scale, in which, yes, maybe the theory will be more relevant than the artisanal skill. And so here we are back on the main road. We can hear the birds. We can hear the tea pickers in the background. Maybe we can go have a chat with them. Let's see. And the wind is always blowing a bit here. I don't know why, probably just the topography. I like to listen to the wind going through the leaves of the big trees. And there are often cows here. They're not here today. You can see just here, this is... So you see, they are very... If I press just a little, they will burst. It's a very loose soil. You know, if it had more silt or more clay, it would be much harder. It would be like a rock. So this makes the soil here pretty easy to work on, but very low fertility. Hey, 我在拍一个小视频，麻烦你们了。几个人猜今天？ Oh, they're not very talkative. They are workers. I don't know the owner of this garden. Maybe it was the lady that we met. Oh, it was dressed in the dye dress. Maybe I could get the leaves from them for tonight. I just need to contact the owner, because these are the workers from the valley. They are typically hired for the day. Well, let's not disturb them furthermore. Some can be quite a bit shy, especially when they are hired, you know, by the owner. They don't really know what to say or what they should say. Sometimes you have lots of random people coming to find you shooting documentaries, doing live streams. So it's always a bit disturbing. So let's just go. So it's really a good time now. You know, it feels like the end of the year when you were in middle school, when it was not really the end of the year, but you know that everybody was going, like it was the last week of the school. So you're doing your plans for the holiday, and you still have to go to school, but it's very laid back, and it's where we are at now, because we know the rain is going to come soon, but the bulk of the harvest has already been picked, and now we have time for experiment or just some extra time. And so, well, today most people are resting. I will see if I can get some leaves, but if I don't get them, it's no problem anyway. And tomorrow I will start working again. I would like to, there's a couple of ideas I have regarding the experiments, and maybe some yellow tea, maybe making more black tea, experimenting with different degrees of roasting. That would be super interesting. And yeah, yellow tea, why not experiment with some low fermentation? I tried it, but I put a sample in the greenhouse and I cannot find it anymore. I don't know where it is, so I will have to try this again. And I've done a batch of reddened pu'er tea with 1 day of withering. And I use gushu material for this because when we did that in 2022, it had that light roast smell. It was a medium oxidation, but still it got the core of the gushu material. I actually preferred it to the Shanghai cake that were released after that. So for this tea, I want to use gushu material. I will try to collect the leaves, maybe today actually, and let them wither for a day, and I will process that tomorrow. Yeah, in the meanwhile, I hope you're having a good time at home. I think I will end this video here because I still have a few visitors waiting for me in the factory. Have to take them around in the tea gardens. And by the way, I hope you can visit us someday. This year we had people from Russia, from the US, from Canada, from France, Austria, sorry. I'm doing like the Chinese, from Austria. And I think I'll have 1 or 2 more visitors before we leave. So yeah, I will just finish my experiments, do the final blends for the gulan, the miyun, make sure every sample, every batch tastes good, sort the yellow flakes, send everything to Pu'er City to be pressed in cakes, and I hope we'll be able to release the cakes in May. So in the meanwhile, I hope you'll have good tea. Thank you for watching and see you later. Bye bye.